How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to On The Ball. Welcome back to another round of Premier League predictions, which is the second half of the same Premier League week as we brought you last week. Because of the winter break, it has been split into two. We've got 5 predictions to bring you. This is where me and Sim go head-to-head in predicting Premier League outcomes. As you can see above my head, the scores on the doors is Sim 10 points ahead, 262 to 252. And the way the scoring works is 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result, and the star man, once you pick that man, you can't pick them again for the rest of the season. 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. Let's get into the weekend's action, starting off with Arsenal against Crystal Palace, London derby at the Emirates. Sim's gone for 2-1 to Arsenal.
Yeah, I think I know they've been in bad form recently. Obviously, off the back of 2 back-to-back defeats in the league, and then obviously a defeat in the FA Cup to Liverpool as well. Struggling to score goals at the moment, but a Palace side without Olise, one of their main threats, probably are without Olise, I should say, not 100% confirmed. But I think Palace will cause a bit of trouble, but I don't think they'll be able to take full advantage of it. And I think Arsenal want a big response. They've had a big break now since that Liverpool game. They've gone to Dubai, bit of warm weather training. Hopefully, for them, I mean, not hopefully, but I'm sure for them, they'll be regrouping, and they'll kind of want to go look into what's been going wrong the last few games. And I think they're going to have a bit of reaction here. I don't think it's going to be overly convincing, but I do think they'll have too much to get over Palace. I've gone 2-1.
Yeah, I got a feeling. I went for 1-0, by the way. I think it's going to be a professional performance from Arsenal. I think they'll keep it tight at the back. With Elise out, Eze as well got hauled off yesterday with not a good performance at Goodison Park. So I've gone for Arsenal just to nick it 1-0. I think they'll have just enough quality to beat Crystal Palace and put a kind of stop to the rot getting back to winning ways, unfortunately. So I've gone for 1-0. Sim's gone for 2-1, both to Arsenal. Let's move on to Brentford against Nottingham Forest. I've gone for 2-2. I've gone for a Desmond here. I know Mbeumo and Wiss are both out for this game, but Ivan Toney back in the squad and should be back in the starting lineup as well. New signing on loan, Sergio Reguilon from Tottenham as well, should be in the mix. I think it'll bring a bit of a buzz around the place, mind the pun, for Brentford at home. Nottingham Forest as well, they are going well under Nuno so far. They got through just in the end last night against Blackpool, but they gave up a 2-goal lead away to Blackpool in the FA Cup in a very taxing game that went all the way to the end of extra time. So I can see a really good game of football here, but the points shared at 2-2.
Yeah, I've gone for Forest just to shade it. I know Brentford have a couple of new signings that should give them a bit of a boost going into this one, but I think Forest have had a really good manager bounce since Nuno's coming, especially in the league. Away from home, got a good win away at Newcastle, and then the following week they beat Man United 2-1 as well. I think Brentford at the moment, they're desperate for points at the moment. They're off the back of some really poor form. I think 5 defeats on the trot now in the Premier League. So they're desperate to get back to winning ways. They did have a decent performance against Wolves, but ended up on the losing side, losing 3-2 in the FA Cup. And I just have a feeling that Forest away from home, they're going to be countering Brentford, who are going to really come out of the traps and try and win this game. And I think that's going to suit Forest, and I've gone for them to sneak it 2-1.
All right, Sheffield United against West Ham. We have gone for the exact same scoreline here in 1-0 to Sheffield United. A very much depleted West Ham. They looked absolutely awful at Bristol in midweek, crashing out the FA Cup. But why 1-0, Sim?
Yeah, missing Bowen obviously is a doubt for this game, but they're hoping he'll be fit. But missing Kudus, missing Paquetá as well. Without those forward line options, they're really struggling for quality. I know they got Danny Ings, they got Cornet, but they don't seem to be cutting the mustard at the moment. They did really struggle to break down that Bristol City side in midweek. And obviously Ben Rama is going to be suspended as well, so he's not going to be an option going into this one. Sheffield United at home, under Chris Wilder, have been very tough to play against, albeit haven't been getting great results, but they have been very difficult to break down. They haven't conceded too many goals under Chris Wilder. And I've got a feeling they're just going to... these are the kind of games West Ham struggle against as well, when they're coming up against a team who are going to frustrate you, going to play low block, going to make sure you're not creating chances. I think the onus is going to be on West Ham to break Sheffield United down. And I think they're going to struggle to do that. And then I can see Sheffield United with home advantage just getting a moment where they show a bit of quality, maybe a set piece or a lucky deflection or something, take the lead. And I can see West Ham being frustrated here. So I've gone 1-0 Sheffield United.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, the only way I see West Ham hurting Sheffield United this weekend is set pieces, but Sheffield United are well within their own right of, doing pretty well at set pieces themselves, to be honest. And with all those absentees that West Ham have, the way I watched that game in the FA Cup during midweek, and they were awful. They really were. Danny Ings he's just been absolutely shocking since joining West Ham, and if he starts, I kind of fear for them, even though it'll make me happy to see them lose, to be honest. But I think Sheffield United at home with the fans behind them, I think they can get all 3 points. So I've gone for 1-0 in a very scrappy game of football, in my opinion, at Bramall Lane. And last but not least, we're going to Bournemouth against Liverpool. Both of us going for the exact same scoreline here again. 2-1. Sorry, it's not the last game, but second last game. 2-1 to Liverpool. I think... Obviously, Liverpool missing Mo Salah. They haven't looked as fluid in the games that they haven't had him in the last 2 games, but they still have got over the line in those 2 particular games. They've got firepower all over the pitch where they can get goals from. Bournemouth obviously going really well under Iraola last couple of months, and they've really turned it around. But I think this game might be a stretch too far for them, and I think Liverpool's quality will shine through in the end.
Yeah, even without Mo Salah, they do seem just to have a way of finding a way to win these games. And I do see it being a big struggle. And I do see Bournemouth having a lot of joy and putting Liverpool under a lot of pressure. And I do see them creating chances. But unless they take full advantage of those chances they're creating, I do back them to get a goal. But unless they're going to really put Liverpool to the sword and maybe get 2 or 3, I just feel like as the game builds, as the game goes on, Liverpool are going to grow into it. I feel like Bournemouth, they play a very intense pressing game, and if they're not like a couple of goals up by the 60th minute, I can see them starting to tire. I can see Liverpool growing in influence, and even without Salah, they've still got options. They've still got good options in the forward line. They've still got depth as well. They've got Nunes, Gakpo, Jota, and Diaz. So I can see them showing enough quality. I reckon it might be a late one. It might be like a winner in the last 10 minutes, but I still think Liverpool are going to sneak it. So I've gone for 2-1.
And moving on now to the last game of the weekend, which is Brighton against Wolves at the Amex. And quite amazingly, me and Sim have gone for the exact same scoreline here again in 1-1. Sim, why?
Yeah, I think these are the kind of games that Wolves like, playing against a Brighton team who are going to dominate possession, look to break them down, obviously leave a lot of space in behind. Albeit Brighton in recent weeks have definitely been improving. Good win against Spurs recently. Got a good win in the FA Cup as well. João Pedro's found some good form. Estepinian's back in the team as well. So I do expect Brighton to not be maybe as open and vulnerable as they have been in weeks before that. So they are improving, but I think these are the kind of games Wolves really like. I think they're going to attack the space in behind. Obviously, Pedro Neto's back fit. Cunha's in sparkling form. So I do think when Wolves attack, they will attack with a purpose. And I do see them getting some joy. But I do think Brighton are going to dominate possession. They are going to limit Wolves' ability to attack too often. So I do see a share of the spoils here at 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, this is two good sides coming up against each other this weekend. 2 sides that are fairly on form as well. If this game was at Molineux, I'd probably say Wolves were going to win it, and I think they're a much better side at Molineux than they are away from home. They've had great results, haven't they? Beating Spurs, beating Man City, narrowly losing to Arsenal, beating Chelsea as well. But seeing it as it is at the Amex, I just can't split these 2 sides. I think both of them will relish the chance of coming up against each other, to be honest. And I think because it's at home, I've just favoured the draw here, and I think it's going to be a really good game of football, and I'm quite excited to watch this one. So 1-1 in my opinion. Let's move on to the Star Men, and we've got a head-to-head. Nottingham Forest against Brentford. Sim's gone for Anthony Elanga. Why Elanga?
Yeah, I think he's in good form at the moment. 4 goal contributions in the last 4 games. I was looking at how Brentford played against Wolves on the in midweek, and they were struggling a bit to contain their wingers, and I thought they were getting a lot of joy, and they ended up getting some goals. So I think Elanga, with the form he's in, could really take the game to Brentford, and obviously they're in form under Nuno. So I've gone for Anthony Elanga.
Are you sure he's not injured?
Is he injured?
I'm saying, are you sure he's not injured?
I'm not sure, no. It's the first I've heard of it. Is he injured?
He was injured the last game, yeah. He didn't play.
It says here, I'm just looking, he's got a 75% chance of playing. So I'm going to back him to play.
Okay, you're risking it. I've gone for Ivan Toney, back in the team for Brentford. I'm backing him to start. With Ivan Toney, I mean, that interview that he gave was a bit weird, wasn't it? On his just about to come back saying, oh, someone come and put in a bid with me and I'll move, basically. But they're going to need to rely on him heavily, to be honest, Ivan Toney, coming into this weekend with Johan Wissa and Mbeumo not playing. So I'm backing Toney to play. I'm backing him to score. And obviously he'll be on penalties as well if they do get one. So I've gone for Toney. Sim's gone for Anthony Elanga. That is your Premier League predictions for this weekend. Let me know in the comment section below your predictions. Who do you think is going to come out on top this weekend? And we'll see you next time.